Hi class, welcome to the week 8 online live learning. As you know, there's a lot of stuff going on with the COVID-19 in classes, and our class is an online class, so there should be no disruption in the learning. Classes started again today, March 16th. However, due to the large number of students and faculty accessing Canvas on the planet, trying to do exactly what we're doing, I was unable to successfully launch a Canvas conference session. I did quickly create a Google Meet, which was formerly called Google Hangout, and I did send the URL out to everybody. But then I found out, unfortunately, I was unable to record my session. Since no students showed up, I've decided to just open up my PowerPoint. I just had a few slides I wanted to go through, and I was just going to demonstrate how to manipulate type. And then I will upload this to YouTube, and I will post it in the announcements. And of course, whatever questions you have, don't hesitate to email me. I'm here. I'm available. We're working through this, so here we go. Okay, so this week you guys are going to be working on, we start the next module of the course, and so this week you start with project 4. This can be a fun chapter as well as a frustrating chapter. It does cover the 3D tools. That's the part I just want to talk about. And you'll see here on the PowerPoint, I have the two of the 4 pictures you're going to turn in. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about the 3D tools, mainly just how to make sure that you can use them in Photoshop, but chapter 4 also goes through some really cool type exercises. And then I just want to talk a little bit about typography, and then what's called Adobe fonts. What does a logo type mean? That has to do with your project, and then how to manipulate text. Okay, so the first thing you want to make sure of is that, so Photoshop, it's so robust. There's just so many things you can do with Photoshop. I often tell people that I think what Photoshop tries to do is it tries to be everything to everybody. It's really great at editing digital pictures, obviously, but if you want to go out and create typography, vector text, you're going to use probably Adobe Illustrator. If you want to create 3D models of objects, you might want to use an actual software program that is meant for 3D, like gosh, I haven't even used 3D tools in so long, but like 3D Max and Maya, those were some tools that were used to create 3D objects, and then you can import them into Photoshop. That being said, Photoshop does have the ability to create some basic 3D objects. The most important thing you have to know about is that you need to be able to have enough VRAM, processing power. So I have this little screenshot of the preferences window. The first thing you should do before you start chapter 4 is to go ahead and open up the preferences and click on the performance option. And then you want to put a check mark here that says use graphics processor. If this section is grayed out, this means that the computer you're using doesn't have enough power. This is the part where I would tell you, you can come to campus and use the campus computers. However, campus is closed. So we do have the IT 100 lab open, but I would probably just encourage you to stay home. And so if you're unable to work through the 3D portions, it is okay. Just turn in 2 of the 4 required images, the flat files, and in the comment section, just put a note that you were unable to run this just due to the processing power on your computer. I will not penalize you, and you're absolutely not required to put any use 3D in any of your assignments. You're only experiencing it in this practice, okay? So you won't be penalized. Of course, read all the information, watch the videos, things like that, but I don't want you to stress about it. I want you to spend more time focusing on the exercises and practice with typography. All right, so that's just the main thing I wanted to point out about 3D. Moving on, the other topic you're going to start to be introduced to this week is typography, which is basically the art of designing text. It's a whole skill set, a whole industry, a whole area of design. So for those of you who had used Photoshop in the past, you might have seen part of it called Adobe Typekit, what is now called Adobe Fonts. And what this is it's part of your subscription to Photoshop or to Adobe. Actually, for any of the programs, you have access to Adobe Typekit. And what it does is it allows you to access a whole library of fonts that live on the Adobe website, where you can go take an entire family. And this little graphic right up here, this kind of shows you what you'd be looking at. You can look at the entire family of, you know, the Cortado font, you know, bold and italic and semi-bold italic, and, you know, all these different styles of the font. You can download the entire family to your computer. And what's great about it is when you use Adobe fonts in your project, when you send me your PSD file, if I don't have, let's say use the Cortado font, if I don't have it, I just sync. All I have to do is I get a little message that pops up that says, hey, you don't have this font, you want to sync it? And then I say yes, and I download the fonts to my computer. So no longer do I have to worry about a font substitution if projects or PSD files are using the Adobe fonts. So from this point forward, I want you to be using Adobe fonts for all of your projects. I want to be able to sync the fonts with your projects. So don't go to some random site and don't go to dafonts.com and download really cool looking fonts. I want all your fonts to come from Adobe Typekit from this point moving forward. You're going to learn more about Adobe fonts in chapter 5, but I do introduce it in this chapter, and I do want you to start using it. So again, let me know if you have any questions, and always check that grading rubric. Okay, so for the Portfolio Builder project this week, you're creating a CD cover, and you should take note that I will give extra credit if you design the back cover of the CD. So the project is having you design the front of it and a logo type specifically. So if you have not taken the Illustrator class or you don't have a graphic design background, which is totally fine, you might not know what the term logo type means. And so it just refers to the design of typeface for a product or service. And so just think about when you see a logo, when you recognize the Pepsi logo, right now all of you are thinking of that circle with the half red, half blue. That's a logo, right? But you can also look at the font or the text or the words of a company, product, service, and just by looking at it, we recognize it as the company. You know, if you look at Disney, you know there's the little, this is the standard form for Disney. You know, I recognize it as the Disney logo, not because of its style as well as the font it's being used. So a logo type is a logo but made out of type, right? So that's what you're going to be doing for this project. And so you're given the specifics of the name of the band, and then you want to go ahead and modify it. And so what you can do is once you download once you type in some text into Photoshop, you can then manipulate it. You can change it into a shape and manipulate it. And so I kind of wanted to just quickly show how to do that. I'm going to come back to what this means, but you basically want to type in some text, and then you want to convert the text to a work path, and then you can use the pen and direct select tool. So I'm going to go ahead and jump out of the PowerPoint, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop, and I'm just going to create a new file. I was playing around with it before, and actually I want to, let's do this. Okay, I'll turn that off. You guys can see that. Okay, so I have my background layer. I'm going to go ahead and choose the type tool, right? I'm going to type in, click on the art or the canvas, and I can type in some text. I'm going to go ahead up here to fonts, and then by the way, here's how you can access Adobe fonts. If I don't like all the fonts that are installed here on my computer, I can click this link right here. You have to be logged into your account. It'll take you to Adobe's website, and then you can search for fonts and download them to the computer you're on. But I'm just going to, for time's sake, I'm just going to use whatever's here on my computer. I'm going to choose Bajas, okay, and I'm going to type my name. Right, and I could come over here and I can move my type around, select my layer, I can move my type around, I can go edit, transform, scale, and I can make it big, right? I can do some different things with it. But if I want to manipulate the individual letters, then what I need to do is I need to convert this to a work path. If you're an Illustrator, it's called Create Outlines. But what you can do here is I can just come up here to type, excuse me, sorry, I have to select my text, my bad. So double click the text tool, and then I can go to type, create work path. Now, if you get this error message, could not complete your request because the type layer uses a faux bold style, what you want to do is you might get this error message, especially if you've been playing around with fonts in the past. You want to click OK. You can come up to Window, turn on the character panel. Okay, and if you have any of these options here turned on, you want to make sure everything is turned off, right? So it's just in its natural Bauhaus regular font, and I can go ahead and close this panel. And now if I select my text and go type, create work path, there I go. I get my little outlines, right? I have the path here. I could save it, right? Actually, I want to do this one. Save path. Maybe I'll call it logo type, right? And then I can come back and then I can use my direct select and my path select. So in my path select, I could select just one letter and I can move it around, right? This is, now we're working with the path itself, not the color underneath it, right? So there I can turn off that layer. So now I can, maybe I'll make a new layer. Oh, thank you. New layer. There we go. Practice. Okay, so I have my, so I'm still working with my path here. I can kind of just, you know, play around with the letters, make whatever I'm looking for, and then that's with the black arrow, the path select lets me move individual paths. If I use the white arrow, the direct select, that's where I can come in and I can actually manipulate the anchor points, right? Right, so maybe I'm creating some kind of, right? And so then I can come back to the paths. Let's say maybe that's what I like. I can right click on it, make selection. I don't want a feather, click OK. And now I can go edit, fill with black. Okay, maybe that, and then Command D, and there I go. And then I've kind of just created a whole new cool logo for my name. Look how amazing that looks. Actually, that looks really cool, and I just totally made that up. So that's kind of what you want to do. So the biggest thing you might encounter is that can't create work path from the faux bold. So that's just make sure that when you have your, you know, your type selected, you don't want any of these options turned on. Okay, and then yeah, you want to go ahead and work with that. So you just have a lot of fun. I would tell you do a little bit of research. Look at other things out there to be inspired. I know I've posted a lot of different videos in the lectures, in the assignment, and then also don't forget that there is extra credit associated with this assignment. All right, so I'm keeping it, it's almost 13 minutes long, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Keep it short and sweet. I will get this uploaded to YouTube, and if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I know they're going to look super cool. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk with you guys soon.